Nola, I finally figured out what's been going on in that house of yours. I'm sorry it took me so long to catch on, but now I know. And it's making me sick.
You know what exactly?
I know how those kids feel about each other.
Who told you? Where did you hear this nonsense?
It's not nonsense, Nola. It's love. Those kids love each other, and it's eating them up alive. Hell, you talk about hell. Those kids are living in it.
That's ridiculous. It was just a childish crush, Eddie. Nothing more than that. They'll get over it, I promise you. They have to get over it.
Sure. They'll have to get over it. They can never be happy because they're brother and sister. And that means they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to forget.
Eddie, please.
For God's sake, Nola, how could you have let this happen? How could you? You love Brian. I know you do.
Of course I love Brian, but that doesn't mean that
It means that you could have explained it to him. You could have told him the truth. You could have saved him from all this suffering. My God, Nola, have you forgotten? Brian isn't Owen's child. He's my son.
Eddie Vaughn, don't you ever say that aloud again. Do you hear me? You swore to me that you would never mention that again.
That was then, Nola. That was 25 years ago.
And it's just as important to me as it was then. No, it's more important now. My marriage is in enough trouble as it is. Are you trying to end it completely? Is that what you want to do?
No, of course not.
Because that's exactly what you'll do if Owen learns the truth. He'll walk out on me, and my life will be over.
Well, what about the lives of Brian and Paige?
Eddie, for those same 25 years, you kept telling me how much you love me. Then don't do this to me. You've got to swear to me all over again that you'll not say one word.
Nola, don't you see how I feel? You and Owen and those two kids, you're the only family I've ever had. Hell, I was just a carny bum when I met Owen. He gave me my first real break. And then I met you. What a mix-up.
Eddie, there's no way you can change what we did.
I was never happy with what we did. You know that.
You agreed to it, Eddie. You knew it was right.
No, it was wrong. Lying to Owen, letting him believe that he was the father of your child.
But it was right then, wasn't it? You didn't want to hurt Owen. He knew nothing about us.
Nola, don't give me that. You know perfectly well why you wanted me to keep my mouth shut. You wanted to marry Owen. And you knew that was the only way you'd get him. And you got him, too. It took a few years, but you got him. And where did that leave me?
With a job, Eddie. A very good job. And with a family, too. We are your family, Eddie, in every way that matters.
But Brian is my real family. My son. You know, it's funny, Nola, but, well, I guess Brian doesn't really know me very well, and I guess I don't know him very well either, but, well, I always think of him as my son. I feel for that kid. And I've never felt as bad for him as when he came to me and told me himself that he was in love with his own sister.
She is his sister. They were raised that way, Eddie. Isn't that just as important?
No. What's important is that they love each other, damn it, and they have a right to that love. Don't you see? That's what's so unfair. They're suffering for our lies.
Do you want to see me suffer?
No, you know I don't.
Do you want to see my life ended? Oh, Eddie, they're only children. They have all those years ahead of them. They have all those possibilities for the future. What do I have?
You have plenty of your own years, Nola.
I'd have nothing without my marriage. I'd be nothing without it. I'm an alcoholic, Eddie. You know that.
You've got that licked. You haven't had a drink in weeks.
And why? Where do you think I found this strength? Because of this movie? No, Eddie, it's because of Owen. Because I realized I was about to lose him.
He knows about your problem, honey. He's lived with it.
He tried to escape from me, Eddie. Why do you think he left California? It wasn't to get Paige away from all that notoriety, and it wasn't because he thought his own career was over. It was to get away from me.
Nola, I still think he cares for you.
Oh, God, Eddie. There's only one reason I've kept my husband, because there's been nobody else. Nobody else he's really cared about. Now there is.
Oh, I don't think that's serious, Nola. These things just happen, you know.
He's in love with Deborah Saxon, and all he needs is some reason to leave me for her. Something that can justify it in his own mind. And you give him that excuse, Eddie. If Owen ever learned the truth about Brian, if he learned that I've tricked him for 25 years...
But damn it, the joke is on Brian now, don't you see? It's on Brian and Paige. We can't let them pay for something that we've done.
Mom, we're all set up for the next scene. You feel up to it?
Oh, look, the truth is, Brian, I'm absolutely exhausted. Do you suppose we could do it in the morning, huh?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I guess you have to be prepared for that. People saying that the only reason you got this part was because your father produced the movie.
Well, I am expecting it, but, you know what I'm going to tell them?
What?
That they're absolutely right. I can't deny it. I was in the right place at the right time. My father's house.
Well, I think when they see your performance, it won't matter. I think you're darn good.
Well, I'll be happy if the movie's a success in spite of my efforts.
This movie must mean a lot to you.
To all of us, it's a family venture.
That's right. Your whole family's involved.
Yeah.
Or is it? I mean, are there any more at home like you?
No. 4 Madisons. Count them, 4.
How about close friends, like boyfriends?
No. There's nobody in my life like that. You must have heard how complicated my life has been this past year.
How could I help it? It was impossible to pick up the paper without reading the name Paige Madison. I remember thinking it.
What?
Well, that you were an awfully pretty girl to be a gun runner.
The truth is, Chris, I was an awfully stupid girl. If you'll excuse me, I have to go talk to my brother.
Sure.
Brian, can I talk to you, please, now? Excuse me.
Yeah, everybody, that's a wrap. I'll see you in the morning. I thought you were a little occupied talking to our handsome leading man.
Oh, Brian, please, this is serious.
All right, Paige, before you said you wanted to talk about Mom, right?
Yeah. It's something awful, Brian, but I'm afraid to tell it to you. I'm afraid that'll make you dislike me more than you already do.
Hey, don't ever say that, Paige. I could never dislike you. All right, now, what is it? What's she done to you this time?
Which isn't anything to me, but she has been tormenting Deborah.
She what?
It's true.
All right, just what does tormenting mean?
Well, she's been playing these tricks on her, making her life miserable, and I know that sounds crazy and childish and just plain mean, but it's what she's been doing.
What?
She's been phoning her at all hours.
All right, now, wait a minute, Paige. Now, just wait. Now, that's a damn serious accusation you're making. I hope you're sure of what you're saying.
Well, she hasn't identified herself over the phone, Brian. I don't mean that, but all the calls have been anonymous. But I did realize something.
Look, Paige, Deborah Saxon is a cop. She meets criminals every day of her life. Now, how can you be sure it's Mom?
Whoever is calling Deborah is playing this music over the phone. The same eerie, gothic-type music we use as background for Mansion of the Damned.
That's still no proof it's Mom.
Brian, will you listen to me? I saw Nola playing that music in her bedroom, holding the telephone receiver over the speaker.
You saw? Oh, my God. I don't believe it.
Well, I didn't want to either. It's awful. I guess I do.
Why don't you go home, Eddie?
Yeah. Guess I'm not much use around here.
I'll meet you there later, okay?
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little more tonight.
Yes, Eddie, we can talk. We can discuss the movie business. We can talk about our old friends in L.A. We can discuss anything you like except one topic. Do you understand? Oh, darling, don't look so unhappy. Things have to be this way.
Why do they have to be?
Because they do. There's some things in life that are just inevitable. You fall off a high place, you've got no choice but to keep falling.
Until you crash, huh?
There isn't going to be any crash. As for Brian and Paige, you wait and see. They'll both get over this in no time. They'll both meet someone else. Doesn't it happen to people all the time?
Yes, it happened to you, I guess.
That's right. It happened to me. I met my first husband, and then I met Owen.
Seems to me I came in there someplace.
Dear Eddie, I'll always have a very special place in my heart for you. Now, let's just keep one thing in mind. The most important goal we have right now is this picture. Getting it finished, making it successful.
I'm not even sure about the picture anymore. We had such a great start on the publicity. We could really have gone someplace with that curse angle, and now the whole thing is called quits. I don't know. By the time this picture is released, everybody will have forgotten it ever existed.
Not if we have that one final curse, Eddie. I told you.
No. That's too ambitious even for me. To burn down a whole studio just as a publicity stunt.
But they used to burn witches, Eddie. What could be more appropriate? We could get someone to claim he saw Hester's ghost amid the fiery flames. Oh, burn, witch, burn.
Nola.
No, I realize you don't really know Chief Mallory. It's just that I was wondering how it feels to have a new chief of police at all.
Well, to tell you the truth, Nancy, I'm not very happy about it. I just like Bill Marceau so much. It's funny. I don't think he was ever really comfortable with the idea of having women on the police force. I mean, how could he be after 30 years with an all-male detective squad?
Well, he was the one who promoted you.
Yeah, that's all the more reason he deserves credit. He was able to overcome his bias. Now, you take Derek Mallory. He's modern, college-trained. He got an MA in criminology. And I'll bet you I have more trouble with him than I ever did with Bill. I shouldn't say that. I ought to give the guy a chance.
Oh, yes, of course. Deborah, you're not upset about this change, are you?
Well, you know how it is. Nobody likes change.
And uncertainty?
It's just that Bill was such a... He was an anchor, you know? He was somebody you could always depend on. I guess right now I need an anchor.
Because of your personal situation?
Yeah, boy, I tell you, it's not getting any better. I haven't seen Owen very much lately. He's working on a movie, but something else is happening.
What?
Well, his wife knows about us.
Well, you were kind of expecting that, weren't you?
Yeah. And, well, actually, I do prefer that to secrecy. But it's what she's doing about it that worries me. And the worst thing is, I don't know what she's going to do next.
Well, surely you don't believe that Nola Madison broke into your apartment and did all that damage.
I don't have any proof, but it's not impossible. I mean, I have a landlord who has taken up the bad habit of using his own key to get into my apartment to do various things. And the thing is, he doesn't lock the door when he leaves.
Oh, really? Well, I would have a talk with that man if I were you.
Yeah, I already have.
Well, now, wait, you thought that it was that young man who broke into the one that you arrested the last time we had dinner together.
Yeah, Benny Hayes. Bad news, Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly isn't any friend of mine. But then neither is Nola Madison. And I am sure that she's the one who's been making these phone calls.
Well, Deborah, you know, there are ways to trace those calls.
Yeah. I don't want to go through all that trouble with the phone company, though. See, Nancy, I'm afraid to.
Afraid of what? Oh, yeah, you don't want to make it common knowledge.
Yeah. And it could become that. I mean, she's a very famous lady. Hey, did you see that article about her in Everybody magazine about the movie?
Oh, yes, The Curse of Mansion of the Damned. Yes, and I'm sure they're delighted with all that publicity. I wouldn't be at all surprised if some of those spooky goings-on were the result of a press agent.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
So, now that you feel that Nola Madison is behind everything, what are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know.
You could tell Owen.
Yeah, I suppose I could do that. Maybe I ought to get this out in the open. I mean, if she knows that I know, maybe she'll stop.
Mike? Mike, is that you?
Yes, Favor.
Still at it, huh?
You know what April calls me, the old workaholic.
Maybe you ought to join Workaholics Anonymous, if there is such a thing.
You've been keeping some pretty late hours yourself. How's it going in court?
Kind of grueling. My opposing attorney turns out to be a jack-in-the-box. Objected to every single question I asked.
Ouch.
At one point, he even objected because I asked the witness to repeat his name. But despite his shenanigans, I think the verdict will go my way tomorrow.
I sure hope so.
Well, I've got some dictation to do, then I'm going to call it a day.
Mike.
Yeah.
Did you read yesterday's Law Journal?
In my usual hurried fashion.
Then I assume you skipped over the personal news call?
Well, the truth is, I seldom read that column. The prospect of attorneys getting married, divorced, giving birth is not too exciting to me.
Would you do me a favor? Would you take a look at this and tell me what you think?
Sure.
You recognize him?
Sure, it's David Henson. I thought you said he was going into the hospital.
Well, he didn't. Apparently, he changed his mind.
Instead, he's spending 6 weeks in Europe.
Well, April said that I waited this long for the interview. I can certainly wait till the end of the year. But then again, that takes us up into the holiday season. You know how busy everybody is now.
Draper, I thought Henson was sincere when he said he'd see you.
Was
That's
he
the question in your mind.
Was he sincere, Mike? Maybe I shouldn't say that, since you are such a good judge of character.
Well, I'm not a human lie detector, but I did think he meant it.
Maybe he was just trying to please you, and he had no intention of following through. Then again, Mike, I could be looking on the dark side of things, couldn't I?
Are you sure this story is accurate?
Yeah. Miles called Seward Paxton. They concurred. Henson's going to be traveling for the next 6 weeks.
Well, just because a man is on a different continent doesn't mean that he's out of touch. Look, I'll get in touch with him myself.
No, you don't have to do that, Mike. I'll just wait and see what happens.
If that's what you want.
Just trying to figure out why the man is going to such pains to avoid me. A man he's never even met.
Oh, no. Hello? Mrs. Madison, please don't do this to me. Mrs. Madison, I know you're the one who's been calling me. I know you've been playing that strange music and saying what you've been saying to me. Now, I know you probably think that I'm some sort of a monster or something. You probably hate me because of... Well, you know, because of... that. Maybe you think in some way I'm trying to hurt you, but I'm not. I swear I'm not. Now, it's true that I've been seeing your husband. We've had dinner together. More than once, but that's all. And as for Paige, you're wrong if you think she's encouraging anything between Owen and me. She's not, believe me. She has had nothing to do with whatever has been happening. Look, she's my friend. And she and I were friends even before Owen and I knew each other. Would you please say something to me, Mrs. Madison? Would you talk to me? Look, maybe if we get together in person, we can talk to each other. How do you feel about that? Maybe we can get... Mrs. Madison? She hung up.
Yes, Deborah. Maybe we should get together.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind. And frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch our hearts trying to hold the tenderness